Hi, students. How are you doing? Welcome to Nine Sim. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. So I came across a video and shout out to Caddy. I love her content. She comes with facts and she is super, very, very knowledgeable when she talks about politics and some certain things happening and all that. I love the fact that she is always very ready to come with facts. So there was a video, a comment that was dropped on her video where they were telling her that they thought that you wanted like black people wanted white people to come in community with them and so that they could change their votes. And you are talking telling the woman that she is being angry white talking about politics. And this is always one way that they use to silence black people. Now, each time black people try to talk about what their experiences or how life has been for them, the systemic racism and all that, they tag you straight up. That is a stereotype. They tag you an angry person. That is always what they know how to do best. You cannot express yourself. You cannot tell how you feel. That is not something they want to hear. Why? Because it is not their problem. They are not the one in the shoes. So for that reason, why would you want to express yourself right in front of me when we should be the center of the universe, when we should be the shining light? You all are not supposed to talk. And then in the end, leaving people that look like me hurts. Stay glued. Let's get into
When people have been called out on this app, I would say August to now timeframe, I won't mention any names. The amount of vitriol that came to Black women, Black Americans specifically, was astounding. So because of that, we were able to see on a massive scale what those creators with millions or hundreds of thousands of followers did actually create. We were able to see en masse a very specific rhetoric that was mostly anti-Black, came from every direction. So it would start with the white adjacent leftists, and then it would go to the MAGA, and then it would go like this all election season long, and it sounded the same. Every time one of their followers dropped a think piece or a comment or sort of mimicked the voice of that creator that we called out. So you could say, oh, is this a misunderstanding? It's like, no, we saw it. We saw it. We saw what you created in your following. Yeah.
So yeah, I also want to make a point about this because this is something that is really aggravating to me too. So you have these people who are like, oh, well, we listened and learned and da-da-da-da-da, but you didn't though. But you didn't though. And I don't think that a lot of the white people who say this shit, I don't know, I don't think they get it, right? Because really what they're saying, really what they mean is that there was a time where, and I know this is what this comment actually meant, there's a time where white people were encouraged to listen and to hear what Black people were saying. Now that Trump is in office, now that he's going to ramp up the racism, now that things are going to get a lot scarier, they don't really have a reason to pretend that that's something they want to do anymore, right? It's clear to me that a lot of white people felt pressured into these conversations about anti-Blackness. And maybe it was a little bit of the discourse about how silence is violence, which I do agree with. Maybe it was about the reality of them having to not be comfortable and actually do something more than make a post on Instagram, right? There were a lot of white people who they were willing to do that. They weren't willing to do much more. And now we're in a situation where because so many white people didn't stand up and didn't decide to do something about it, you now have the impending administration that is going to make it so that some of the ways in which we were able to ignore these differences between us via neoliberalism are not going to be avoided. We're not going to be able to just pretend that like everything is equal when, you know, people in our government are making a point of saying that really the only people who are free are white Christian men, right? That's not going to be something that we could fool ourselves into believing. And this is something that like I've been trying to talk a lot about because so many of the debates that we've had over the years rely on this idea that Black people, women, marginalized minorities in general have won their civil rights. And it was sort of treated as like this thing that will never change, right? We will always have these civil rights. Women have the freedom to do this. Women have the freedom to do that. There's no reason for them to talk about feminism anymore. There's no reason for them to talk about inequality or the pay gap, because women have rights in America, right? That was such a pregnant idea in a lot of the arguments that we were having, right? But now we're in a situation where women no longer have access to abortions in many states, right? Where that was very clearly done in order to limit the freedoms of women. So we can't really even act like those debates that we had all those years ago were about like, anything other than these people just really trying to reinforce the position of women as beneath men, right? And I think that applies to a lot of the conversations and debates that we've had, right? In this conversation, there is a very subtle kind of idea that Black people and white people just need to, be treated as though they have the same degree of understanding when it comes to Black folks' experience with racism, right? Maybe that's something that you could believe if the education wasn't what it was. And this is the thing that annoys me, right? I could buy into some of the arguments people were making about how, well, we listened and learned, if they actually listened and learned. What's become clear to me is that they weren't. They were doing, they were paying lip service to it. I think that was the word I was looking for in the previous video. They're paying lip service to it. They didn't actually learn anything, right? Because if they did, some of the same people who were listening and learning way back when wouldn't be so excited about a Trump presidency. That's the thing that gets me. A lot of people shift their politics, not really based on what's real or true or what they should be doing. They base it on what's popular. What was popular way back when was BLM and this and this and that. And that was the reason you cared, because you wanted to be part of the popular group. You wanted to be part of, the people who were part of the conversation. Now that Trump is back in vogue and conservatism is what it is, there are so many people who are suddenly now like, oh, you know what? I'm a conservative now. But the reality is you never really shifted. You never really shifted. You just learned that certain things were not popular to say publicly anymore. And if you watch any of the videos that I've made calling people out, I've said this multiple times, because the response to people often engaging in bigotry has been performative activism, right? When Tana Moja got caught saying the N-word, proudly many, many years ago, what did she do? Change her Instagram, name to Black Lives Matter, right? And was that a nice way for her as a white influencer to, I guess, signal to her audience about a cause that was very important? Sure. But also it was a way for her to not be seen as racist. And that is really as deep as it went. And you kind of recognize that when news of her treatment of her Black friends came out, right? And some of the shit that I've said about the way that white people, treat their Black friends is, going to be said, by those people. It was said by those people, right? The way in which it was all very superficial, the way in which it was all about appearances. And you can kind of tell that that's what it's about, because there's always a lack of intimacy that they have with you. They'll have it with new people that are white that they know because there's an in-group thing going on. But when it's you, there's always a way in which you are limited in how close you're supposed to be. And so for me, it's one of those things where it's like, and I've said this so many times, a lot of white people complain about these conversations, but they don't understand that they haven't really addressed the heart of them. You may be saying Black Lives Matter, but do you actually understand mass incarceration? Do you actually understand the 13th Amendment? Do you actually understand that when the police are exerting the power they are, that is a continuation of the original purpose in which they were formed, which was to catch slaves and to, protect property. Who could own property at a certain, who were the only people who could own property at a certain point in this country? White Christian men, right? So it's always been about this, but there's been this way that people don't really want to see it like that. And so they justify You know, certain things, you know, whenever we talk about mass incarceration, we say, well, you know, white people also get arrested. They also experience police brutality. Yeah. And that is a thing. And I'm not going to deny that that's a thing, but the system still wasn't created to punish specifically them, right? If you're a white person who gets caught up in that shit, well, you were caught up in a system that was created not to punish you, right? But of course, you know, the punishment of white folks like this is very, very useful to the rich, right? And look, I'm getting tired of like talking about this shit because I think most people aren't going to get it and they don't care. But if you like, it's aggravating because, you know, we've been talking about this, we've been talking around this, right? And it's funny because people are talking about it now. I saw a video about this the other day. Most of y'all, if you listened to or studied the organizing that Black folks have done in this country, not only would you understand so much of why this country is what it is, but you would understand better ways to organize. You really would. People need to understand that a lot of the issues we have in this country, healthcare is a great example of this, really exist because there's a group of white people in this country who did not want to cede any power to Black folks, who didn't want to give any privilege to Black folks, we'll just say, right? There's so much about this country that we don't have because white people needed to create a barrier for Black people to enter. And of course, if you are propagandized, you don't get that, right? You think, oh no, well, we did this, we did that. Well, you know, my history books that you don't get that, like, white supremacy is a very strong fabric of this country. You really don't get it. And you're incentivized to say, well, these Black people are just like making it up. They're just like making, you know, why? Because these white people need you to believe that. They need for you to believe that, right? There are so many white people who think that they can get liberation for themselves. They could defeat capitalism. They could, you know, do all of the, you know, pulling up, you know, the workers and shit without Black people, without an awareness of, they're even like the base reason why Black people are in this country. They wanted to exploit workers they didn't need to pay so that they could maximize their fucking profits. Why would racism not be an important aspect of your leftist politic? It should be. It needs to be. Because so many of the issues that we have, so many of the issues that the working class have relate to that. Right? But, you know, I feel very liberated from feeling like I have to have these conversations because I know most of y'all are not listening. But anyway. You're just taking out your anger on white women. Well, guess what? They voted for Trump the most, right? I have every reason to be angry with white women. I have every reason to be skeptical of white women's allyship. I have every reason to feel that way. There is quite literally no reason for me not to, especially after today. And I think that that is the point that some of you guys miss. You want, and you're doing it right now. You're doing it right now. This thing that I was criticizing all day. You came here. Oh, you're just an angry Black woman, just, you know, being mad for no big reason, right? You hold like this concept of no big reason, right? It's going to like you guys are going to nuance this to death when it is not that complex. What I'm saying in this video is that clearly my survival is not important enough to these white women who are saying, oh my God, I didn't know that my friends were Trumpers, for that conversation to come up. Like, I'll just give you my experience as a Black woman because I can only assume that you're not one, right? There's not a place I go or conversations that I have that don't eventually come back to politics, because there's a lot of people who only process me as deeply political, not even because of how I believe or what I have to say or because of how I feel or what I've expressed, because I'm Black. My existence is politicized. When I enter a room and that room is not full of people who look like me, my existence is politicized. We have so many conversations about not judging all white people, not painting them all with the same broad brush, while I live in a system that generalizes and paints me with a broad brush all the fucking time, right? I want for you guys to understand that the time for you to really talk to your people, frankly, has come and gone. Like, people who are still feeling, if you don't understand how angry I am and how much I'm in pain right now, that is because you are not engaged in the conversation. You don't get that Trump getting elected is going to lead to maybe not directly me at first, but so many people around the country who don't live in a blue state being harmed. That's what you voted for. That's what they voted for. And the fact that that is just some like passing thing to the point where we're treating it like Slytherin or Hufflepuff is insane to me. And the point I'm trying to make in that video is that it should be repulsive to you, to the point where you sniff it out in other people, to the point where you're the one who brings it up. There were so many times where different times in the timeline where I really did entertain, like, okay, you need to come and speak to your relative about this, because I really do feel like, that is the only way that a lot of people are going to change. If someone who they care about has a conversation with them about it, right? But the thing is, we don't have that much time. And the idea that I should just sort of like tolerate and like be patient with, all of this stuff, and you're just taking your anger out on white women, even though white women just voted for me to be in pain, you don't get that what you are trying to say, what's in between what you're saying, is that I am used to experiencing pain. I should continue to experience pain, tolerate experiencing pain to the point where I'm not upset about it. And you, as a white person, are just always supposed to remain comfortable. Always. Always. Always, to the point where I'm not allowed to be upset about that. To the point where I'm not allowed to be upset by the fact that I am now in danger. It's a passing thing to you. It's politics. I don't do politics. I don't do politics, because politics aren't important enough to me to do. Fuck you guys. Seriously. I said this in many videos. I have white friends. I've got white people in my life. I have white partners, right? It's not like I hate white people, but like I've been having that conversation about not hating white people for a really fucking long time. I've made a lot of content repeating over and over and over again, performing over and over and over again that I don't hate white people. And guess what? You all voted in hatred for me. And it materially affects my life. But you get offended a little bit and you equate it as if it's the same. You're just mad at white women. Yeah, I should be mad at white women. I should be. You're just taking it out on the wrong people. No, you took it out on the wrong people. Why are you having this conversation with me instead of accepting that I have a reason to be angry? That is the thing you guys don't get. Part of living in this country, part of existing under this fucking system, is that you always have to explain to people that there's a reason for you to be upset. That's why you need the facts and the sources and the statistics, when white people have never needed a reason to be upset other than it makes them uncomfortable. I need for more of you to shut the fuck up, get the fuck off of my page, and go talk to the white people who you clearly have more sympathy for. You want to come over here. You want to talk to me like, oh my God, why are you just being so mean to white people? Like you are doing any work that I'm doing. Like you are even remotely in a similar position that I'm in. Yeah, I want you to talk to other white people. I do. But the fact that you're playing in my face tells me that you don't do that. The fact that you still think that I should explain to you why I'm angry, justify, clarify, temper my words so that I'm not too angry. The fact that you think that that is something that I should be doing, feed into respectability, feed into this white supremacist lie about how we should all be presenting ourselves in public, tells me you haven't done the work and no, don't have a desire to do the work. You have no, you don't, you don't. And I've always known that. And there are people who know me, Black people who know me, who think that it is so crazy that I spend time with white people, because at their core, they understand that most white people are never going to want to live in a way where a Black person who is next to them can exist potentially next to, on the same level of, or potentially above them. That is that is why we're even in this, right? You had a situation where Kamala Harris, who I don't like and have never liked, but is incredibly accomplished and incredibly, has, met the parameters for the job, met the fucking parameters for the job in ways that most other candidates have never. Didn't get elected because there are a lot of white people who believed that allowing her to be the president of this country would mean a loss of power for them. And the thing about it is that, yeah, whiteness makes it so that you don't really necessarily specifically speak about things in that way, but you know it. You feel it. If I feel it, you got to feel it. You have to feel it. You have to feel the fact that when there's an accomplished Black woman in the room and there's a bumbling white man who's too old to string a sentence together, who has plans that have been proven by the school that he went to, that aren't, the economy's about to fucking tank, right? The fact that an unqualified, underqualified white man can get elected over her should be proof to you, but it's not. You still need to come over here and antagonize me. You still need to come over here and act like I am incorrectly upset about something. It should be obvious to you, but it's not. Because you are racist. You're actually not like, not like, rather, the racist people that you know. That's the thing that I think more white people need to accept. You're not different from the people you grew up around who are super racist. You came from that. That is inside of you. And most of you don't want to accept that. And you have this response because you can't accept that you're racist. You can't accept that you're racist and do better. You have no interest in doing better. You have no desire to do better. What you want more than anything is subjugation, silence, and agreement. The things that white supremacy provides you. That's what you want. If you actually understood any of this, you would get why I'm angry. And you would respect it. And you would shut the fuck up.
So this is all I got from this video. And why I love Katie is that she knows what she is saying. And she hits the hammer on the nail. I love it for her. And she said something that they were scared of losing power. I love the fact that she touched that part, because aside from them being racist, they are also very scared of losing the power. Because I remember that I brought a video here where a woman that was interviewed, she was like, so Kamala Harris has a policy for Black men, and her policies for Black men are really good, right? So what will happen to us, especially our husbands, if Black men take over the jobs and now our husbands have to work under the Black men? So what's going to happen to us, right? And she was like, no, she is not going to sit and watch herself and other do, like, vote for the other person. So it is like a losing, losing themselves. They would rather, I don't know, they would rather maintain that position, right? Or maintain that ness, just for, no matter how hard it becomes, we are going to endure it, right? But as long as the other people are not getting the fame, as long as the other people are not the one at the forefront, as long as the other people are not the one leading, because if they ever start leading, we are absolutely going to lose everything we have, including our. Now, let's get even, see, One thing I have understood so far is that when you do not talk about the racism that is going around, especially that is affecting people that look like me, if they refuse to talk about it, it put people like me, people that look like me, in danger. That is one of the reasons why I keep saying we are going to keep talking about it, because the more you talk about it, the more woke people are. And the more woke people are, the more at alert people are. For everything that played out during the election, those people knew what they did. So I am not trying to hold anybody's hand or trying to understand the fact that some people voted and some people did not vote. I am going to categorize all of them in one bag, because that is what they do us, and that is also what they deserve. So I am going to keep all of them in the same box, not until they choose to do the right thing. Then we can decide if we're going to bring them out of the box or not. That was one of the reasons why they decided to come back with a blue bracelet, friendship, this thing, to tell you that we are the good ones and all that. There ain't anything like the good ones. Do the right thing, and you won't have to prove to anybody that you are the good one. Now, something that I have also understood is that each time Black people or Black women, most especially, try to express how they feel or how some certain things are affecting them, the systemic racism, redlining, and all that, and how they also voted against their own interest, the only thing you are going to hear is that Black people are always angry, right? And this is always I don't know, it is a stereotype. I don't know if that is a stereotype, that they have always come up with, that because they are this, you are not supposed to talk to them or raise your voice or do anything. But when you are laughing with them and your voice is all loud, it doesn't count. But when you are trying to express yourself or tell them the right thing and your voice is like, they start telling you that you are raising your voice. Man, that is how I talk. Can you just understand that? And then before you know what is going on, they are going to tag you, angry Black woman. That has always been like the code. Angry Black woman. That's why most times when you see where Black people and them are working, you find out that Black people does not want to talk, or a Black person there doesn't want to talk. She only wants to do her job and get away. Working with them in a corporate firm is like working with. So let me say this. See, I don't know how to make them understand that the world does not evolve around them. It is not all about them, right? I mean, the world is too large that it does not evolve around them. That each time Black people try to explain or talk about their experiences in life, then the only thing you come up to hear is that you are not supposed to speak. Who are you to speak? How dare you be angry? How dare you get upset? And now they will come around to tell you that I thought you wanted us to be in community, with Trump is so we could change their vote. How do you want to be in community with somebody that does not want my own interest at heart? See, I am not grown. I don't know how to say it. I am not grown. That I am going to see people that voted against their own interest and other people's interest, right? And still want to be friends with you. I don't do that anymore. I express, I tell you how I feel about it. Okay, I met one of my family friends, came back with someone from Mississippi. His name is Rob, right? Rob came to Nigeria because he has not been to Nigeria. He went to Ghana, it took him to Ghana, and he went to Ghana. He went to the slavery, had this thing to see, how the slavery, that slavery house and all that in Ghana. And he came to Nigeria. We met Rob, and we got talking. And he was like, the first thing he asked him was, "What is my political ideology?" I love that. And I told him, "Bro, I am rooting for you people from now till the world ends." And we had a great conversation. And he is being taken to our hometown, and they are going to crown him chief. And I really cannot wait to see Rob come back home all the time because that is wrong. Right? So you are going to vote. Sorry, I told this story, but yeah, I probably will get this story in full. You are going to vote against your own interest and my people's interest, and you want me to be cool with you. That doesn't happen, you know. I also remember some of my friends that came to ask, what's your politics? I tell them because one thing that I have learned to understand is that majority of the people that want to support, right, does not even know their history or does not even understand Black history, or the people that are not in US that are also supporting him must really be mentally not unstable. I remember my close friend telling me that she told me that she loved his Chinese policy, that the policy he's about to make in China. So I asked her, which policy are you talking about that you say he's going to? Is it the tariff that you are talking about? It looks like you really do not understand this politics and what he is saying, because if you know what he says and what you are talking, you absolutely will come correct. Do not come to me talking politics halfway. That is where I am going to have a problem with you. And she doesn't know what she was talking about. And I sat her down and I talked to her. She was like, I really can't see, I really can't understand. I say, yeah, my people got to be free, because when they are free, we are also free. Yeah, I think this is where I'm gonna draw the curtain. I don't know if I'm talking too much, but this is where I see. This is where I'm going to draw the curtain. I love my people. I love my people so much. You all have no idea. Wherever I go, I carry you all on my head because I don't want to hear story. Because when I hear anything, just don't let me hear it. I am all out. But yeah, my people first before any other person. Bye for now.